Sound? Speed. Rolling. What's going on, film fans? How are we? Hope everybody is well. It's Luke Pickett, back to bring you a little bit more film analysis, some deep diving. If you're a film fan, if you enjoy the medium, the art form that is films, and you like a bit of that, you want to learn more, you already know a lot, you just like talking about it, then this is the channel for you. And if you get value from my channel, Chatting Script, please do subscribe to it. If you're on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you are, give it a follow, give it a subscribe, hit thumbs up on the episodes. It just helps the algorithm, which helps me reach more people. And all I want to do is just, continue to preach the gospel of a good film. So please do that. The film that we are going to be diving into today is an all-time favorite of mine. I can remember seeing this. It must have been close to when it came out. I was far too young to see it. We are doing Dog Soldiers. Bada bing, bada boom. It's a bitch of a werewolf movie, as the tagline says. I got my DVD copy here with the so this is the original artwork that I remember seeing on a VHS. So a friend of mine back in the day had it on VHS with the artwork that you can see on your screen now, and the artwork that I have on my DVD copy here. But downstairs I also have a 4K version of it, which looks like that, which is quite a nice, cool update, but that's the OG one. This film, made in about 2002, written and directed by, oh shit, I want to say Neil Marshall. Yep, Neil Marshall, nailed it. Don't know why I doubted myself. Who went on to direct The Descent after this, which is probably his more well-known movie. But Dog Soldiers is a personal favorite of mine. Neil Marshall's also directed episodes of Game of Thrones and things like that. Very, very successful director these days. Did Westworld as well, and Hannibal. Very good, very cheap. £1 fish. But anyway, yeah, so The Dog Soldiers was his first feature film, and what a ride. Let me read you the plot. And this is one of the, if you haven't seen this, because not many people have, it's technically a B movie. It's definitely an indie movie. It's, whenever I tell people about this film, I'm like, it's soldiers and werewolves in the Highlands of Scotland. Everyone's like, okay, sounds like, nah, one of them. It's such a good film. No one I've shown this film to or told to go and watch this film has ever come back and said it was a bad film. It's so good. So the review here says, a bitch of a werewolf movie, and then the tagline, 6 men, full moon, no chance. But the... okay, so who wrote that? The Face says, Jaws, Alien, and Predator with a werewolf twist. Which, it definitely does draw from those kind of films. Let me read the blurb on the back. A band of British soldiers are sent to the Scottish Highlands on a special training manoeuvres. Their biggest worry, stuck in the middle of nowhere and missing a vital England versus Germany World Cup qualifier. Things take a turn for the worse when they stumble upon Captain Ryan, who appears to be the sole survivor of a special operations team that were literally torn to pieces. Ryan refuses to disclose the secret behind his mission, even though whoever or whatever ate his men seems hungry for seconds. Help arrives in the form of local girl Megan, who shelters them in a deserted farmhouse deep in the forest. But when they realize that it's home to a pack of bloodlusting werewolves, it's apparent their nightmare has just begun. Can they hold out until first light? How much ammunition do they have left? Who is Captain Ryan? And more importantly, did England beat Germany? Dog Soldiers fuses wicked black humour and edge-of-the-seat slasher horror in the vein of The Evil Dead, starring Sean Pertwee, Kevin McKidd, and Liam Cunningham as the twisted Ryan. It'll leave you howling for more. So Sean Pertwee, most people might know as Alfred in the Gotham TV show. Such a good actor. A lot of people may know Kevin McKidd from, I want to say, Grey's Anatomy or one of those kind of TV shows. But he was also in Trainspotting as not Sick Boy, the guy who weightlifts in Tommy in Trainspotting. Yeah, Grey's Anatomy. He's Dr. Owen something. I don't know. I didn't watch it. I'm just quickly scanning IMDb. Anyway, let's get to the juicy details of the film. So, like I say, this is a pretty low budget film. B-movie territory, indie territory for sure. I don't know what the budget was, but this film is an absolute masterclass in doing a lot with a little, and it combines how it achieves a lot with a little is things like having an absolutely watertight script, like everything from so I mentioned this, if anyone's listened to one of my last podcasts, the Primitive War one, I talk about the ability to convincingly weave in dialogue that pushes the story along and shows characterization, of the individual characters, and then can also like do the exposition that the audience needs to push the story along. And Dog Soldiers does it all so well. Like when all the soldiers talk to each other, they'll throw in like military slang or military speak and that kind of thing. Like they won't say 5 o'clock, they'll say 0500 hours or something like that. And I know a lot of films do this. I'm just saying that Dog Soldiers do it really well. And all the characters are kind of fleshed out enough that they have their own little splashes of personality, and some of them will say things that only that character would say. Like it only makes sense for that character to say it, as well as having jokes that are just between them, or like turns of phrase that you can tell have organically grown within this group of soldiers. There'll be examples throughout probably as we'll talk about them, but it's an absolute watertight script like that, where it then as it plays out, I won't say too much about it now, but like as it plays out and the sequences of events unfold, it might be a sequence where they're being attacked by the spoilers, by the way, spoilers for Dog Soldiers. I am going to try and not reveal excessive amounts, because if you haven't seen it, it really is worth watching, but I can't hide the fact that I am going to have to reveal some of it. So when they're getting attacked by the werewolves, there's so many chess pieces or moving parts within the scene where every character is doing something that makes sense in the moment, for their character or for the benefit of the group or whatever. Everyone is always doing something. There's never any dead air or waste. You're never like, well, where the bloody hell was this character while that was happening? There would be a reason they couldn't help that character, because they were dealing with something else. And they spin so many plates when they do it, and there's so many moving parts, and it really masterfully builds like tension and suspense and peril and those kind of things. It's such a well crafted film. But let's get going with it, shall we?
And seeing as I bullied you to come all the way out here to celebrate the fact.
Quickly on these two. So this is the opening of the film. We have a couple that, spoiler alert, gets, we don't see them for very long, and then they get set up on by a werewolf, and that's the start of the films. This is what I have definitely mentioned before, pardon me, is introducing the villain or the problem first. Jaws does it with the shark. Jurassic Park does it with the velociraptor at the start that eats a guy when they're putting it in the cage. All those kind of things. Often you introduce the problem first. Not always. Die Hard doesn't, for example. But we have these two, and again, to reiterate the point I made about the script being really watertight, the dialogue between these two and then the performances of the actors, who are just credited as the campers, I can't remember what their names are, it feels like they have a historied relationship. You can feel the when she sort of nags him a little bit, it's the 1000th time that she's nagged him. It's not, these people know each other intimately and deeply, is what I mean, and it's just conveyed really well. It's very believable. Okay, so here, obviously we have this little romantic moment. This is not the bit I'm trying to dwell on, but we start with what we think is the sound of her zipper on her trousers as he's pulling it down, and then we realise it's the zipper on the tent, and then so now we get a little zoom in on it, shine the light on it, we zoom in on their faces, back, streaming the zipper. Now we're into a doozy, right? Okay, let me just let this play out actually to the end. So we have her being tugged on, and we can't quite. So now we're sort of finishing on. I was going to say finishing on his face, but that's not a sentence I want to say. You're finishing with the shot in frame being on his face. Whatever. But we haven't seen anything. All we've seen was the hand of the werewolf like pull her ankles, and then we have a little tug of war. Still all within the tent. We never leave the tent at any point. So, like special effects wise, yeah, I mean you have to worry about the blood and the hand of the werewolf looking convincing, but they haven't had to reveal the shark yet. Like the famous thing about Jaws that everybody says is the reason that you don't see the shark very often, which creates the imagination effect of worrying more about how scary it is. You know, it's your imagination doing all the talking. The reason that they had to do that with Jaws was because they didn't have a big enough budget to make the shark look better. It just looked how it looked, and that, you know, ended up having Steven Spielberg having to like not cut corners but think of more inventive ways to build the terror and the suspense, and then yeah, it ended up being like the less you could actually see the thing that was stalking you and killing you and terrorizing you, the sort of scarier it became. So they're able to do something similar with Dog Soldiers, and the intro is a really good example where you don't show a lot of it, but yet you create that terror, and using the slow reveal of the zipper and the slow zooms in on their faces and then again on the zipper kind of thing just helps to build that tension again without having to show you anything particularly scary. It's just really good craftsmanship. So the little like that along, anytime writing or something is put up on this film, like Scottish Highlands or whatever it is, it's all done in the same, like, you know, font and style and everything, with the same like tone, the whatever it was that like plays over it, and all of it just sounds military. Like I know I made a note that I'm probably going to repeat another time, is that this film never forgets for a second that it's a military film. You know, it's everything about it is a military film. The subtitles popping up, yeah. Even the title sequence that I didn't show a minute ago, but when that pops up, bam, Dog Soldiers, it's undeniably like military-esque. Some good stunt work as well. I did notice that the first time I watched it. It's not, you know, showing off in the way that John Wick or The Punisher or whatever. It's really grounded and it's really simple. You know, people are sort of taking one or two punches to the face and then getting the bell rung, which is a bit more realistic. So, and it's quite sort of not simply, I'm not trying to do it a disservice, it's done well, but it's quite simple movement in the sense that it's, you know, punching and kicking. It's not like these crazy judo grapples or jiu-jitsu moves on the floor and that kind of thing. And then the camera and the editing are just sort of cutting on the hits, you know, so as someone goes to throw a punch, then it cuts, and then it cuts to the thing getting hit, so then you as the audience watching it have less chance to see like a punch miss kind of thing, because it's where it's cutting on the actual point of connection or the point of the movement. It's harder for the human eye to sort of track any deception, and so yeah, it works. It's like, again, it's just good craftsmanship. So the slight point on this one, Ryan's finger is on the trigger for like the entire time he's handing him the gun, which, you know, so I'm pretty sure it's well known in any like military or police or anything that uses firearms. I'm pretty sure it's common knowledge to like not have your finger on the trigger unless you're intending on firing it. Like it's just trigger safety. You would, instead of holding the gun like that with your finger in there, you would hold your finger on the side, and then when you need to shoot, then you put your finger in the trigger. So, you know, but it's a low budget indie movie. They may not have had time or attention to notice things like that. What I was going to say, there was like the lighting in this scene. So most films or TV shows these days, especially like the another Liam. So Liam Cunningham, most of you may know him as the Onion Knight in Game of Thrones, and I was just about to talk about the spoiler alert for the last season of Game of Thrones if you haven't seen it, but the Battle of Winterfell is quite notorious for being too dark to fucking see anything. But then you compare that to like the Battle of Moria in sorry, not Moria, the Battle of Helm's Deep in Lord of the Rings, and how they use the moonlight as the source of light, and then you get effects like what we're seeing now on this screen with Sean Pertwee, with Liam Cunningham, is we can still see him. He's just lit quite strongly on the side of the face there by the moonlight, and it feels like these days films and TV shows are too afraid to do this. Like they do all this soft lighting nonsense and nighttime scenes. They don't want to commit to the idea that the moonlight would let you see the characters clearly, and they just like everything becomes harder to see. You don't get any of these really, like, look how shadowed the left side of Liam's face is there. Like, that's some strong imagery, you know, having one side of him so illuminated and one not. It makes him look really kind of mysterious and maybe a little bit untrustworthy. Yeah, why don't films do this anymore, or TV shows do this anymore? It's all this soft lighting, lack of commitment to a style. Lord of the Rings did it. This film, fuck all budget, I'm sure. I haven't checked the budget, but it's not a lot. So now we're coming to the main squad. This is the main team that we're following throughout the film. I can't remember what they're called, Spearhead or something. But it just comes in really loud and fast. We get those nice scenic shots of the Scottish Highlands, and then they come in on this army helicopter and land. But they're just like immediately sort of thrown at us. Like we have the huge noise of the helicopter. The troops are all shouting, "Go, go, go," and all that. It's bam, like in your face. We don't get a second to. It's not a soft introduction; it's a hard introduction. Right, so now we're going to get some examples of the razor sharp dialogue that I was talking about as we get introduced to the team here.
Joe, for fuck's sake, get off your big fat lardy ass and make like a soldier. One, check.
Bollocks, I don't believe this.
Is it now with the speed?
Leffy, watch at the barracks, Sarge.
Take a breather every once in a while, son. You live longer.
Nice work, Spoon, you tosser.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
And you'll be taking my boot out your mouth in a minute, Joe, you baldy twat.
Piss in hell.
Close shave, eh, Joe?
Oh, this shite is totally born. The most important football match of my life is playing tonight, and I'm stuck up the backside of beyond without so much as a six-pack or a telly.
Well, that's the army for you.
Hey, it's England v...
So you see what I mean? Like it's really hard to write a script. Sorry, to write a scene with multiple... Like writing a duologue, or just, you know, a two-hander to one person talking to another person is much easier than writing six people having a conversation. It's so, just try it. Just try and get six people to talk about anything. So what this film does really well, and this scene is showcasing, is there's like 3 different conversations going on with all the characters jumping in and out of it. It's like it's like the play Welcome Home. I did this play in university. Who was it by? Yes, Tony Marchant. Sorry. So Tony Marchant is quite a famous British playwright, if no one's heard of him. But so he wrote this play called Welcome Home, and it's about soldiers in the Falklands going back to bury a fallen soldier. And that does it really well, because it's, you know, like a squad again, and all talking about different things, all within the tone of their character. That's also within the tone of being a soldier. That's also within the tone of their camaraderie and their friendship as a group of soldiers. It just does it really well. Let's carry on with the scene.
Because just like you, all I want to do is get home, jump into a warm bed with a nice hot woman, and watch the footy.
Planning on scoring, Sarge? Yeah, well, mind you don't foul her in the penalty box.
Oh, all right, button it, private parts. Now, as of this moment...
All of that. All the matey talking about football all the time, so then like him sort of leaning on the football element of it. wanted to jump into a bed with a woman, and then the other guy, make sure you don't foul her in the penalty box, and then him going, button it private parts, like all these little jokes layered on top of each other. The one of the funniest things when you hang around with a group of friends is when someone makes a joke and then someone riffs off of that joke and then someone riffs off of that joke, and it keeps going. It's a real, like, realistic sort of, you know, it's realistically written dialogue, and then it has that, like, a military twinge to it. And I can't sit here and say if it is realistic military speak. It sounds good to me, but I was never in the military, so I wouldn't fucking know, would I? So then, to move the story a little bit along more and sort of build the idea of something like werewolves being introduced into this, we have moments like this where Cooper tells a little story.
People disappear out here. Happens all the time.
People disappear out here.
It's true.
And then his squaddy mate going, Spoon, my favourite character, Spoon, going, alright mate, give it some bollocks. That was a terrible Geordie accent, I'm sorry. But it's sprinkling on that humour as well again, you know, because they're all friends, they've been a squad for a while. It just builds that history and that connection kind of thing. And it also, what this film does is, like, slowly, one by one, kind of all the characters start to believe that they might be fighting against something a bit abnormal and a bit paranormal. And you have, so they're there on a phony exercise. It's not a phony exercise, like they're firing blanks in their guns. It is just an exercise. They're not actually going to be fighting anyone. At least that's what they think. So you have soldiers not bought into that idea. Like the Joe, the one who's more concerned with watching England versus Germany in the football, he doesn't even have, like, he doesn't believe in the exercise full stop. And then you've got some soldiers that are fully on board with, you know, sort of playing their part in this exercise. And then the same thing starts to happen with the idea of the werewolves. Some of them are like, hang on, what? And some of them are like, no, this is bullshit, we just need to survive, or whatever. And then they all sort of slowly come around to it. And that, I feel like that helps the audience slowly come around to believing in, you know, the concept of the werewolves and stuff. It just sort of helps blur those lines a little bit more. And then them guys whistling through the forest again, just building on that camaraderie and that you know, sort of friendship thing, as well as acting as a montage passage of time. It's just, this film knows what it's doing. It's a military film. It knows what it's doing. So this scene has one of my absolute favourite monologues of all time, delivered by Sean Pertwee. He's talking about someone that he served with who lost their life and had a tattoo of the devil on him, and it was like the only bit of the skin on the guy that survived that they could find after he was killed. And like, I'll just play some of it in a second, but Sean does so much with so little. Like, I get a little bit annoyed these days when I watch some films and it's someone's, like, chance to have a go at a monologue. It's their turn to show their acting chops, and everybody does the same thing, and it's really frustrating. See if you can notice it. But like, when it's someone's turn, they're like, say they have to tell a story about, maybe they had a little brother or something and it was a lovely day, and then suddenly a tragedy struck and the little brother was killed, and they'll always do the same thing. They'll be talking to, so I'm going to look at the camera now, like look right down the camera. They'll be talking to the person they're talking to. That's me talking to the camera. And then they'll be like, and then they'll just look off to the side and like pretend to be remembering the scene, like what happened with their little brother. So they'll be talking to the camera and then they'll be like, oh, I remember. We were, and the smile comes in like this. We were just running through the meadow. He got stung by a stinging nettle. Oh, whatever it is. And then suddenly it all gets bad. And like, but I see so many people do the exact same beat for beat things. They look to the side, they smile and reminisce the good bit, and then they get serious and they do the bad bit. And it's so annoying. Well, like when we were in drama, sorry, this is turning into a little bit of a rant, but it's my channel, I'll do what I want. when we were in drama school, there was so much emphasis placed on knowing exactly what that like scene would have been unfolding in your mind, you know, of the scene of like losing your little brother or whatever it would have been. Like really, really knowing it completely inside and out as if it was a memory. But then, like, I don't know, there's something about not showing it, like not showing the emotion that you're feeling. Like, just feeling it. Just feel the emotion, don't show the emotion. And that's what Sean Pertwee does so well in this monologue, is he's never trying to convince the audience that his story is true or the things that he's saying are true or anything like that at all. He's just listing it off matter-of-factly, I suppose, like a soldier would, not getting too emotional about it. His eyes barely move. He's not, you know, widening his eyes or raising his brows too much or anything like that. His mouth moves a bit, is probably the most expressive thing, and his voice pitch goes up and down. But he's just seeing it all really clearly in his head, and then making sure the message has been delivered to his boys, like this as he's telling the story, and then seeing the next bit in his head, and then saying it again. And it's so impactful and it's so powerful. It's one of the best monologues ever committed to film. Like, it's as good as Christopher Walken's monologue in Pulp Fiction. You know, it's as good as, I don't know, it's fucking good. All right, let's watch some of it. Good.
Yeah, it's back in 91, just before my unit was flown out to Kuwait to mop up the last pockets of resistance. Me and this young fella called Eddie Oswald decided to go and get a tattoo done to commemorate our first trip into the desert. Me and Eddie, we went and had a few drinks. We had a lot of drinks. And we went down to the tattoo parlour and I got a desert rat done. And Eddie, being Eddie, wanted something with a bit more meaning. And being a bit of a believer, he said that his soul still belonged to God. But his flesh was way beyond redemption. And it was up to Satan to save his skin.
So I mean, he's just telling a story to his mates down the pub. He's not having... I know they're around a campfire and they're not in a pub, but like it's that kind of like, oh, yeah, so then this happened. He's not having his time to shine. He's not winning his Oscar or his Emmy right now and really going back into the memory of the emotion. He's just saying it how it is. But you can see in his eyes it hurts him to talk about it. And each new thought in the monologue is delivered with an inflection that makes it sound like it's a new thought, like it's not a monologue that he's learned. Because when he says, and being a bit of a believer, that's like an add-on that he's only just thought of. Because you see how his inflection goes up? And being a bit of a believer, it's just something that occurred to him in the moment. It's such a well-performed monologue. Let's carry on with it.
So he got this fucking great laughing devil tattooed right on his arse. Anyway, about 6 days later, we were making a regular sweep along the Iraqi border. And Eddie, poor fucker, triggered an anti-tank mine. Yeah, we all saw it happen. I mean, he was on point. White.
And the little music kicks in there.
Fucking deafening crack. And by the time we picked ourselves up off the deck, Eddie was... he was gone.
See there? In his eye, you can just see that little hurt of loss, but he's not trying to well up to win an Oscar and show how good of an actor he is. He's saying it exactly how the sergeant of the platoon would say it. Is it a platoon? The squad, whatever? Because they're meant to be, you know, they're the one in charge. They're meant to be the sort of beacon of, you know, reliability and stability, probably is the better word. So you wouldn't just be breaking down in front of your boys right then and there. But you could see in his eyes it hurt, and you could hear in his tone of voice that it hurt, losing his friend like that.
Just bits and pieces of him. It's all that remained. This big fucking red circle, 100 metres. I'll tell you something, lads, it really puts things in perspective when you have to scoop your mate up with a shovel and stick him in a bin bag.
And the way he said that, scoop him up with a shovel and stick him in a bin bag, was so like... the quiver in his voice, it was a mixture of like the pain of doing that, the the heartache of doing that to your friend, the pure kind of grossness of it, and there was almost a bit of like vitriol or kind of disgust. No, not disgust, but a kind of like hatred towards the people above him in the army, making him do that. At least that's what I'm reading into it. It's like feeling like he's cannon fodder is what I heard in that. The kind of like expendable nature of the soldier and how horrible that must be. That's what I heard in just that little quiver in his voice of stick him in a bin bag. Oh yeah, clean it up. Don't worry about it. Move on. You're just a soldier. That's, we someone else listening to this may not have heard that at all, but that's the beauty of films or art, is it's all subjective. But maybe I'm reading far too much into it. But a good performance and a good scene and a good film provoke conversation, and that's the point of my channel. More passage of time, the moon's coming out, pushing the story on, increasing the fear. So now we have Liam Cunningham again. He's, spoiler alert, about to get attacked, him and his squad. But what they do here, so when it's on him, we just have the faint moonlight lighting him up, and then it cuts to, then we see his vision through the night vision binoculars and everything's green, and then we have the werewolf vision where everything goes black and white, because I don't know if it's true anymore, but back in the day everyone said that dogs see black and white. But now I think we know that they see a reduced colour palette to humans. I don't know what spectrum the dogs see, but so we see black and white from the werewolf's perspective, and then a heartbeat goes like dun 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 dun, when we see through the black and white, and it's a really nice way to like reaffirm to the audience that we are seeing something from the perspective of a living thing, that might be like stalking Liam at this point. Oh, sorry, Captain Ryan. So there you go. Green. Boom. Heartbeat. Green. Heartbeat. With black and white. It's just good. And then what it does nicely in a minute is we have the black and white vision running now. So that just, oh shit, where's he running to? Oh. It's nice. It's very nice.
We've got casualties to locate. So, ditch your
Right.
Bergens.
All this military speak he's doing now.
And stand to.
Ditch your Bergens and stand to. That all sounds military as fuck to me.
Live. Hostile targets. So, if Little Red Riding Hood should show up with a bazooka and a bad attitude, I expect you to chin the bitch.
And is that just not one of the most hilarious things you've ever heard? If Little Red Riding Hood should show up with a bazooka and a bad attitude, I expect you to chin the bitch. Just, what marvellous dialogue. That's Tarantino levels of great dialogue. Put some respect on Neil Marshall's name. This is what I was talking about earlier. That character there, Bruce, how panicked he delivered that line. If they're lost, where are the bodies? So he's one of the first characters to start panicking. Terry is one of the other characters to sort of start panicking first. And this is what I was talking about earlier of like the film drip feeding in sort of one by one the characters starting to panic or starting to believe in the werewolves kind of thing. And that over the course of the film, because you have the characters one by one churning to that way of thinking, that builds this kind of like ever rising level of suspense throughout the entire film, whilst then, like I say, also slowly bringing the audience more and more on side. Now, what is about to be done so masterfully well in this scene is you have Liam Cunningham, aka Captain Ryan, just popping up after his whole squad's been like wiped out and torn apart, and the rest of the main squad, Sean Pertwee's squad, know now that they're up against something dangerous. So what this scene does to increase tension and suspense and everything on the audience's behalf is you have Cooper and Sarge frantically trying to stitch together Captain Ryan, like heal his wounds and everything. You have Terry or is it Bruce? Yeah, it's Bruce, frantically trying to get the radio to work, but he's having problems with it, and he's, you know, calling out radio signals again and again, not hearing anything. Spoon is trying to get the Sarge's attention to tell him about the time of day, because it's about to get dark soon. Ryan keeps going on screaming, there was only supposed to be one. And you just have this continuous, like, there's so many moving parts. Everybody wants something. It's like a mum with 6 children, or a dad with 6 children that, like, you know, it's being completely swept off his feet and overwhelmed by how much is happening. It feels like that. And that all just, like, builds this, like, it's that rubber band expression. Like, the tighter you could pull the rubber band, the more tension and suspense there is. It just builds that. Let's watch it. It's so well.
Spearhead Patrol, this is Spearhead Patrol. You're receiving.
Spearhead Patrol.
Ripper came last.
They're frantically all their movements are really quick. They're frantically speaking. They're rushing what they say.
Do you understand? There was only supposed to be one.
Gotta get me out of here.
Sarge.
Not now.
Spoon's chiming in. Terry's on the radio. Back to this frantically moving, trying to heal him. The radio's not working again.
Did you check it? Of course I checked it.
Someone else is chiming in. Too many cooks ruin a brew, that kind of thing.
See what we can do. Terry, this team must have had their own comms kit. Have a look round, see if you can find
Shouting, panicked, everyone's energy's up. Do this, do that, do this, do that.
There was only supposed to be one.
What's he on about, Sarge?
Terry, get back on.
Still going on about it. Radio's broken. What's he going on about?
Before they come back. Who, Captain? Who is going to come?
Who's coming back? What's this mysterious threat?
Sarge.
Not now, Spoon.
I don't know if you care, but in about half an hour it's going to be dark.
Does anybody copy?
And then bam, now we have the threat of darkness. So then that music kicks in, that soundtrack starts. Oh fuck! And like, now we're really gonna be up a creek without a paddle, kind of thing. It's just such good layering of all these different elements: the frantic movement of the actors, the voices, the shaky movements of the cameras, the cut in between, the sound in post being layered on, so that even though we're just filming like Ryan and Cooper and Sarge, but we can hear all the other people in the background. And when you're filming, I don't know if you guys would know this, but when you're filming something, you're not filming the entire scene and everything around. You're only capturing what the camera is looking at, so that you're only miking up what the camera is looking at. So all the other dialogue happening from all the other people would be layered on in post-production. So you have all these different elements that are happening on screen, and, you know, being spliced together and edited together, and then, you know, sound mixed and everything. And it's just, what a bubbly formula of goodness. Okay. So even though the music's a little bit loud now, and they're sort of figuring out their military operations and what they're going to do, but what they've done is they've sent Bruce like to cover so they can all run a bit, and then Bruce will catch up with them essentially. And what it does do is that quiet before the storm thing. So we have the music being quite loud now, and then in a minute it's going to bring it right down, and we'll just stick with Bruce for a little bit. See? Now this feels really Predator-esque, you know, waiting for to hear that, like, or whatever noise it is the Predator makes. Then we build up the tension with this, like his gun starts jamming, and then as he starts running, see, and his gun starts jamming and the music kicks in, the panic starts to set in, reload, check the chamber, all of that, doesn't work, still jams, goes again. And eventually he's just like, yeah, bollocks to this, I gotta get out of here. And then we follow him with a shaky cam. So I think that's representing the dog's point of view, because now that we've just found him here, it's a lot more steady, even though it probably is still steady. But all these overrun trees, all the music. It's very well put together. I think this sequence is done so well, where they have this kind of leapfrog formation, you know, where a couple of soldiers stay back and fire while the other guys run ahead, and then the guys that stayed back to cover catch up while the other guys fire behind them. I believe that's called leapfrog formation. But it's done really well. We just get a few glimpses here and there of the werewolves running. A lot of the time they're silhouetted, so we can't really see you know, the full sort of outfit, because, you know, the more you can see of it, the easier it would be to tell if it's fake. So you just and plus we're still keeping the werewolves kind of hidden to build that suspense, you know, like it's still keeping the shark a little bit hidden on Jaws, that kind of thing. But ultimately it's just soldiers running through some trees, turning around and shooting at werewolves. Like that's the scene, and in a lesser director's hand it could be really poorly done, especially with a budget as small as what they had. I'm assuming they had a small budget. Because then I remember there's Sherlock Holmes 2, the Guy Ritchie one with Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law. There's a scene where they're running through a forest being shot at by, I think it's Russian soldiers and maybe even German soldiers, I can't remember now. And it does some real awesome slow-mo sequences, like really sort of mapped out, panned out really well, like choreographed and executed so nicely, with all these trees blowing up and bark flying everywhere and everything. But that's an example of what you can do on a on a huge budget. Whereas what Dog Soldiers is doing here on a micro budget, just soldiers running through some trees, turning and shooting at werewolves every now and then. And it's doing it really well. It's staying within the realms of believability, you know, considering it's a werewolf movie. Yeah, I got no qualms with it. And now, when they just, you hear the soundtrack playing, it's such a military sounding score. Like, it sounds completely within the genre of a military film. So, like, that's just reiterating the point that I made before of, like, this film never forgets that it's first and foremost, it is a military film. Like, you could take that that score and put it over Flags of Our Fathers or We Were Soldiers or anything like that, and it would fit in 100%. Okay, so in this scene, this is after Cooper's just blown up the car and realised that they are completely surrounded by werewolves, and he's not locked the door when he's gone back in the house. So a werewolf immediately tries to burst through the door. And this is another example of what I spoke about before. Again, I've spoken about it a lot. This film does it quite a lot, but you have all these different things happening, adding to the tension. So you've got these two or three trying to stop the wolf getting through the door. You've got the dog pulling on sorry, I can't think while that's playing in my ears. You've got the dog pulling on the sergeant's bandages. You've got the woman yelling at the dog and all this. You've got all these different things piling on top of each other to just completely like overwhelm and disorientate the viewer. It's done so well. And then this bit again is so good, showing the camaraderie of the soldiers. So Terry is just thrown up on Captain Ryan, and straight away,
Competent moron! Do you want to have a fucking go, like?
yeah, straight away Joe's just like, nah, you don't mess with one of the boys, one of his squad. This scene here where you've got the Sarge being patched up by Meg and Cooper, and he's getting drunk on whiskey. Just, is it my birthday? And all that. The dialogue again, like, this scene is such a standout scene. All they're doing is putting super glue on his wounds to patch him back up. But the dialogue is absolutely exquisite, and Sean Pertwee is giving it like 100%. He's absolutely like pushing, I suppose, what he can do as a performer. Like, but you fully believe it. Like, you believe that he's absolutely in agony. You believe that he's scared. You know, like, it's so good. Let's play a little bit more of it. But it's funny as well because he does all this drunken, like, oh, I love you, you're my best mate type stuff. Where everyone's been there. Everyone's been drunk before, going, oh, I love you so much, you're my best friend.
He's my best mate.
Here we go.
He's a salt of the fucking earth. I mean, don't get me wrong, the rest of the geezers in the squad, they're all right, love.
So what this scene does so well is, again, talking about interweaving elements of, you know, the fact that they're squaddies, the fact that they're all mates, the fact that they're all individual characters and that kind of thing, and then combining in a lot of exposition to explain to the audience, you know, any sort of loose threads or plot points up to this point. And it's done, it's just executed so well. Like, it's such a tightly written script that not only do we get to explain to the audience up to this point enough of the information about the werewolves to continue moving the story on and reveal a little bit more to create more of an intrigue and that from the audience, but also like it's not boring and it's not spoon-fed, and it's any bit of information that is exchanged is done by the character that it makes most sense to say it. So whether it's information, if it's information about the werewolves, it comes from Meg. If it's information about like how a logical military brain would process that information, it's done by Cooper. If it's a joke about it all being complete bullshit, it comes from Joe. If it's a fucking, oh, I don't care, I'll fight anything, like oh, it makes sense to me, you just got to point me in the direction and I'll kill it type thing, it comes from Spoon, the character Spoon. It's all, and all of it serves the scene. There's no wasted dialogue, there's no things that are said for no reason. I can't compliment it enough.
You're taking the piss.
What? Makes perfect sense to me.
What, you mean like full moon, silver bullets and eyebrows that join in the middle?
See?
Think about what you've seen.
Joe's just dismissing it. Spoon's like, oh, fucking YI, man, let's go shoot us a fucking werewolf. I'll work on my Geordie accent, I promise.
And heard.
This is so fucking bone.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Then,
What does bone mean?
Bone. Bollocks. Naff.
Not very good.
Right.
just such funny dialogue. And because they've said bone a lot throughout the film, and they've said stuff like laugh, I nearly shat. You have all these like reoccurring jokes between the squad. You know, this is how they talk to each other. These are their in jokes. You know, they all use bone as an expression of you know, disapproval. And you just got like the stone faced, what does it mean? And then Spoon going, bone, bollocks, naff, and then Joe going, not very good. It's just so British. There's a really good slow tension build. Sorry, there's a really good slow tension build with this one, where you've got Cooper pressing the questioning on him, and Ryan doing his best to sort of not be bullied into giving away his secrets or anything. It's a real good like duel between these two. It's almost like a battle of wits, and and the music, you know, creeping up in the background, building that tension. And again, there's an example of doing all the layering. So you've got three people questioning Ryan, Spoon, Joe, and Cooper, and then Cooper gets distracted and looks at this picture of the family, and then Meg, the woman, comments on the family name, while the other guys are still questioning Ryan, and then Cooper goes back to questioning Ryan. But it's that overwhelming, there's a lot of things happening, there's 6 people talking at once, and it again builds that tension. Okay, this bit builds the tension so well. So you just start with Spoon, little shot on the corridor, he's looking left and right, checking his post. There's no music or anything, just the sound of him chewing his chewing gum. And then we see the door handles slowly start to creak. His head turns slower. We zoom in on him because he spotted something. As he pulls his gun up, he's getting ready now. Quick pan up the gun, real close, real tense. And the rattling from the other side. And then as he turns, we see the werewolf in the glass behind him. And it's not just a rattling and a pushing of the door. That's really loudly coming through the speakers there. You know, like, so it's putting us right there in it, and like putting us on alert. You know, loud noises put people on alert, bangs make people jump, that kind of thing. So it's not just a small rattle on a door, it's a big rattle. And now it just increases even more, this more rattling as it builds up and builds up. Neil Marshall is just so good at building suspense and terror. And Just again to talk through what I mentioned before about whenever there's like I think I said this at the start, whenever there's a sequence of like action, everyone is doing something. Like Spoon on screen now got sort of punched through a window by the werewolf and falls into a cupboard, which makes that gas canister like roll out and nearly hit him on the head. And then the gas canister ends up being important to the story at some point. So that's what's kept Spoon busy while Joe is in the other room. There's a werewolf that's like grabbed him through the window while there's another one trying to come through the window in front of him, and he's trying to shoot that one, but the one that's grabbed him, it keeps jostling him around so he can't get his shots off. Cooper's running between everybody trying to keep everybody alive, and he runs in to help Joe. So like you have all these things, all these people being occupied constantly. Everyone is doing a thing or being attacked or defending, like, and it is that overwhelming, like crazy. It's so nicely put together. I just can't say a lot more than that. I know kind of all I've done so far is describe what's happening and gone, yeah, that's good. But it is. And that bit always made me laugh when he's like hammering the door, like he's trying to barricade the door, and he's like bang, 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 and then a werewolf sticks his hand through the letterbox and goes, it's so funny. This film's littered with so many funny moments. Alright, so now we're going to the fast and loud decoy that is Witherspoon. So he's going out there to distract the werewolves so that they can try and get to the barn to steal the other car. But we have a bit of score in the background, a couple of shots of the black and white from the werewolf's perspective. And then Spoon just being iconic. He's the best character, he's so funny.
Never go if you think you're not enough.
And the come and never go if you think you're hard enough. It's just... Spoon gets to do so many of the kind of like... what would probably be the male fantasy things, you know? Like baiting the werewolves, and then later on in the film he gets like some pretty cool shit. See, again, this is an example of all the different things. So you have Spoon out there with a werewolf. Sorry, all the different things layering on to create that overwhelming thing. So you have Spoon outside, and then he runs to try and climb up the rope, and you got the werewolf chasing him, and then when he gets inside, the werewolf pulls the rope, which pulls the bed, which pins Cooper to the wall, and then they have to try and cut the rope so that the werewolf doesn't climb into the bedroom. And then in the meantime, you have Joe in the shed trying to hotwire the car, and when he does hotwire the car, the lights shine on, and then you see a werewolf eating Terry, and it rips Terry's head off and throws it at the car, and then a werewolf tries to get in the car, and Joe has to fight off the werewolf, and then he reverses back up to the house with the werewolf still in the car, and then he jumps into the back of the car and tries to fight the werewolf and gets killed. But you have all of that cross-cutting between each other, and it's exactly the point that I've said like 100 times through this film already, but it's doing so... all it's doing is giving everybody something to do, and then Neil Marshall is like really I guess, you know, he's puppet mastering about exactly what he needs from each actor in those moments. Like, does he need one of the actors to panic so that can push forward the narrative or the energy of the scene? Does he need one of the characters to be a bit of a loose cannon in that moment, or be really angry, or be really heroic, or just be annoying and be a pain in the ass? Like, everyone achieves what they need to achieve within the scenes to build the overall either tension or suspense, or build the overall narrative, or push the overall narrative forward. Like, anything that needs to be done is achieved through a combination of the shaky camera work, or the score, or the actors being orchestrated by the director. It's just chef's kiss from start to finish.
Crap.
And again,
No, I don't.
Cooper and Ryan get another moment to duel. You know, so much fun as an actor to be in these kind of scenes where there's a direct confrontation between you and another, and it's like a battle of wits and a battle of words. And yeah, it's really well done, and I feel like Kevin McKidd and Liam Cunningham would have had a lot of fun with would have had a lot of fun with this scene. And then Another example, let's just let this play on a little bit longer. Another example of the script being watertight. This is the example, sorry, of the script being absolutely watertight. So in this moment, Sean Pertwee is holding up the chip that was in the radio, Bruce's radio, from earlier on. I don't know if I made a point of showing it, but when his radio wouldn't work and he takes it apart and finds that there's a chip in there, and it's this chip. So now instead of the Sarge having to like, so him actually physically holding it in his hand and showing it to the camera, and then saying his dialogue to Captain Ryan is so much better than if he didn't have the chip in his hand and he just said something like, well, you bugged our radio, and then carried on with whatever, you know, the dialogue he actually does have to say. Because the dialogue he says is about being angry with Ryan that he's treated his unit and his men as expendable men, basically. As anyone would rightly be angry about that. So, but just holding up again, filming films and movies and pictures, as someone like Martin Scorsese might say, it's telling a story through a visual medium. It's telling a story with pictures. So him holding up the thing and then going, by the way, you've bloody got my men killed, is so much better on the listener's ears than having to listen to more exposition or someone else go, oh, by the way, you bugged the radio. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm making this point very well, but it's doing visual. It's the picture painting 1,000 words. That's the point I'm trying to make. Instead of having to explain all of it, they're just showing the thing, and it's just. It sounds easy, and it sounds like, of course they would do that, but would you? These guys did, and it's good. And I quite like this werewolf transformation. I like this werewolf transformation. So you have him coming up. His eyes are yellow. He's got slightly bigger fangs. He's breathing a bit erratically, and he's got longer fingernails. He makes some slightly demonic noises. And then falls back underneath the table. Then all we hear is like clothes ripping, some weird noises. Build the tension, and then suddenly I really like it, you know. There's a lot to be said for, look how good those practical effects are. One of the things I really appreciate this film is they did it with practical effects. They hired 3 actors that play the werewolves, and I guess they're just these like huge people, really tall, rangy people. But look how cool the practical. That looks so much better than CGI. That looks so much better than CGI. I don't care.
What was the pity?
Why?
So we're gonna have to kill them all.
It's all right, mate.
Bam. Again, that's just a really good example of the picture painting 1,000 words. They've agreed, or they figured out that the werewolves are the owners of that house, so therefore that's the family in the family picture. They now know that they're going to have to kill them all if they're going to want to get out if they're alive. So Sarge smashes the hammer down on top of the family picture and cracks the glass. It's like, bam, this is our mission now, exterminate this family. Just a lovely little touch that didn't need to be in there, but a lovely little touch. On this bit here, you basically have Cooper and Sarge having a little heart-to-heart, where Sean Pertwee is coming around to the idea that he's probably not going to make it out of there. He's realized that his wound has healed like a lot, the surprising amount, like Ryan's did, and then Ryan turned into a werewolf, so he's aware of what's likely going to happen to him. Cooper is in denial still, just wants to try and get everybody out alive. That's his only sort of MO at the moment. But it's so well done. You basically have like Sean Pertwee begging Cooper to let him stay behind and, you know, try and take him out, blow him up kind of thing while everyone else gets away or something to that effect. And it's a real nice heart-to-heart moment between the two actors. I won't say too much on it. Just watch the film. But it is really, really, really... It tugs at the old heartstrings, this moment. Alright. So then shit starts hitting the fan. The werewolves are in the house now. Sarge and Cooper are upstairs being attacked by two. And Spoon is downstairs in the kitchen. And this is what I was talking about before, about like the ultimate male fantasy, because he doesn't have a gun, he doesn't have that awesome claymore sword, he doesn't have any weapons at all. Doesn't have any weapons at all, he just puts his hands up and starts boxing. How many dudes would have had a fantasy like this in their lives? Oh yeah, if I got attacked by a werewolf, I'll just start swinging on it. Like, every dude has been there. Like, I'm not the most masculine guy or anything. Like, I'm pretty in touch with my feminine side. I mean, I've got long hair and a kind of pink scrunchie on my wrist, so there you go. But every dude, if you got a little bit of dude in you, every dude would have had that kind of fantasy, you know. It's that I guess it's just, maybe women have it too, and maybe it's just part about being a human, but like that what would I do in this life or death scenario? What would I do during the zombie apocalypse? What would I do during the Hunger Games? What would I do fighting a werewolf with no weapons? I just put my fists up. It's so good. And I have always said that I feel like, so spoiler alert for that sequence, he really goes ham on that werewolf, old Spoonie does. And it gets to the point where, like, he's genuinely winning the fight. Like, he's stabbed it loads with a kitchen knife. He's beaten it with a frying pan, and then, like, last minute, another werewolf comes and sort of saves the other werewolf from the wrath of Spoon. And me and my, you know, I said at the start, my friend had this on VHS, the same original cover. He had the VHS version. We would watch this a lot as, like, I don't know, we were probably like 12 or something, too young to watch it, maybe even younger. And we always said that we know Spoon would have won that fight. If the other werewolf didn't show up and save that first werewolf, Spoon was winning that one-on-one, like, not easily, but he was winning that. And then he has the best, like, a lot of dialogue throughout this film. A lot of dialogue throughout this film is really fantastic, and Spoon has a lot of dialogue. So this is the moment, right? This is the moment where he's about to, like, you know, finish the werewolf off with a frying pan. Gets knocked out of his hands. Listen to this dialogue.
I hope I give you the shits, you fucking wimp.
And then spits his chewing gum at him and then gets eaten. I hope I give you the shits, you fucking wimp. Like, if you're gonna go down swinging. Like, he put his dukes up and, like, boxed the hell out of a werewolf. And then when he knew his time was up, because it ended up being a 2-on-1 fight, he knows he's gonna get eaten, and he says, I hope I give you the shits. Like, that is so funny. That is such good dialogue. This film is amazing. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. I remember speaking to someone in a pub or on a night out or something once, talking about films and talking about how much I like Dog Soldiers. And he was like, oh, you mean that film about the soldiers and the werewolves? Shut up. This film is amazing. Normally I would say that, like, you know, my opinion isn't gospel, and, you know, this is the show is called Chatting Script, so I encourage other people to chat in the comments and have a conversation yourself, share your opinions or anything. But if your opinion is that Dog Soldiers is a bad movie, you're wrong. So the climax of the film, we get Sean Pertwee, the Sarge, sort of resigned to his fate, knowing that he's going to turn into a werewolf, so he has to kill himself. So he cuts the gas line, sparks it, blows up the house. I want to know if this house blowing up is a miniature. I want to know if that house blow up... Sorry, I might be talking over the loudest bit, but I want to know if that house that blew up was a miniature or if it was an actual house that was just due to be demolished or something that they ended up filming in. Maybe it was a house that was going to be demolished and then they didn't care how much they fucked it up, because they do fuck up a lot of this house. So maybe that's what it was, or it was a miniature that got blown up. I don't know. Well, I don't want to... I'm going to wrap it up here because I don't want to reveal too much about what happens right at the end, because that would be a shame for those who haven't seen it. But this is one of my favorite ending shots of a film, is just Cooper walking through the messed up doorway. And it's split into thirds again. You've got Cooper in the house, well, the remains of the house and the rubble on the lower third. And then the forest on the upper 2/3. And that's like the final shot of the film. I just really like it. I'm going to round it up there then. So basically, Dog Soldiers is a great example of what you can do with zero budget and a lot of know-how, and probably again is an example of how a writer, director, and then in this case editor combo, having that through line. Who is it that says films is an editor's medium? So stage is an actor's medium and film is an editor's medium, because the editor will have the director and the editor effectively will have like final say on the cut of a film, or the studio might have like there's always like the studio cut and then the director's cut and the final cut or whatever, but fundamentally the editor is the one in the chair doing a lot of choosing about what ends up in the final cut. So they say it's an editor's medium, but Neil Marshall wrote, directed, and edited this film, so he can be there on set, essentially editing as he's going. He knows that in this scene he needs Terry to be nervous and Joe to be pissed off, so that Sergeant can boss people around, and it creates those three sort of conflicts or spinning plates or overwhelming factors that I spoke about, throughout this episode. This film is like an example of when someone has a really good vision and knows all the elements they want to mix together, and then can see the final version being the edited version of the film. It just makes for such a tight ship. It's such a tightly constructed film. I can't recommend it enough. If you've never seen Dog Soldiers, get on it, because it's absolute class. That's all I've got time for today. But again, if you enjoy the channel, if you enjoy talking about films, get at me in the comments. Rate the episode. Please give it a thumbs up. It will help me reach more and more people. Please follow the channel. Please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more episodes in the future. And thank you very much for listening. It means a lot. Bye for now.